Charles Walker is Vice Chair of the committee that represents backbench Conservative Party MPs, the 1922.
I suspect the government knew they were going to cancel Christmas on Wednesday and Thursday when they were still telling the House of Commons they planned to press ahead. And I think many colleagues find that extremely egregious. The Christmas period was passed into law by the House of Commons in a vote after a debate, and the view of most colleagues was that to be changed, another vote would be required in the House of Commons. So I suspect the decision was delayed until we were safely away back to our constituencies.
Matt Hancock, the Health Secretary, has said this morning that that is not the case, that it was the results of a briefing on Friday that effectively forced the government's hand.
Yeah, well, I'd have to probably disagree with the Secretary of State for that. The plan was to allow people to exercise their judgment. Nobody wants to put an elderly relative at risk, and people had some agency in their life to make decisions. And now, once again, the way we live our lives is mandated in law. People with terminal cancer won't get to see their children and grandchildren unless they are breaking the law. Surely at some stage, a senior government minister has to say, I've offered my resignation to the Prime Minister, and the Prime Minister has to say, sadly, I've had to accept it.
You have mentioned in this morning's papers, I think, your lack of confidence in the Health Secretary, Matt Hancock. You've spoken just now about the idea that someone, a minister, should resign. You can't seriously be calling for the resignation of the Health Secretary just as the NHS faces this situation.
It's not for me to call for anyone's resignation. It's for those in high public office to decide whether they should offer their resignation. We have a tier system that keeps collapsing. We've proven, now tested to destruction, that lockdowns don't work. We have an economy that is not creating jobs but losing millions of jobs across the piece. So you tell me when the right time for someone is to offer their resignation. And let's be perfectly clear. Those who do behave irresponsibly are going to behave irresponsibly with or without a law. The government, in my view, knew on Thursday, possibly even Wednesday, that they were going to pull the plug on Christmas, but they waited till Parliament had gone. That, on top of everything else, is a resigning matter.
This torrent of information comes at the government with conflicting opinions. If it was the case that they were presented with this information on the Friday, that the virus was, in Matt Hancock's words, out of control, they could do nothing but act on the Saturday, could they?
But why do they have to keep mandating it in law? I mean, people were making the right decisions. We are putting a law in place that will criminalise people who choose to see their families at Christmas. We can't keep treating people like this. There is a crisis of mental health. There is a growing crisis of confidence. And I'm not asking for the government to collapse. I'm asking for a Secretary of State to take some responsibility.